We're talking with Erica Wide. She's a chef. She's the host of Let's Get Real, the cooking show about finding, preparing, and eating food. Erica, you'll know that the Shuster family has long had a certain fondness for salty snacks, whether it was Pringle chips when we were growing up, or I still love pretzels. Are there differentiations in terms of, different types of pretzels that are better for you or worse for you? And how does one go about determining that?
Well, first of all, let's talk about Pringles, okay? When we visited you in Indiana in the early 70s, they were just test marketing Pringles in the Midwest, and so I had never seen them before because, being a sophisticated New Yorker, they didn't test them on our market. They did it out in your neck of the woods. So that was the first time I had ever seen them. And I was in the Smithsonian a couple of weeks ago in Washington, and I saw in their food, sort of America's Kitchen exhibit, they actually have the original schematic drawing for the Pringle. So
yeah.
If there's a food product being sold and consumed in this country that has a schematic drawing for it, it's not good. It's not something you should be eating. You have to have a mechanical for it. But the first time I ate them was at your house in Bloomington. But anyway, there are decent snack foods around, like popcorn, for example. I love popcorn. I pop my own in a stovetop popper almost every night. I use, a little bit of grapeseed oil or olive oil, and I pop it, and it's great. I buy organic popcorn. I mean, pretzels, per se, your basic pretzel is a fine snack. You're getting a lot of white flour when you eat a pretzel, so that's not so good for a lot of people. It raises your glycemic index, and there's a lot of research that says that eating a lot of white flour is really what's making everybody diabetic and have heart disease and sick. It's not fat. That's not the issue. So, pretzels are fine. You just want to be careful about eating, huge amounts of white flour all at once because it can really make your blood sugar spike and, wreak havoc with insulin. But I eat pretzels. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, as opposed to the other things that in our family make our blood sugar levels spike. I got to ask you, Erica, because you're not only my cousin and a great chef and an educator on all these issues, you are also our activist of the week. Every time in our show we award somebody the honor of being activist of the week for the way they're influencing their community or our nation in terms of educating and making change. And we always ask our activists of the week, how did you first get involved in this area of activism? So in your case, I know you've been a chef for a long time. How did you first get into the whole issue of the food industry and that angle of it?
Well, let's see. I've been a chef for 20 years, and I taught for a long time. I'm not teaching anymore. I would say it was sort of, I read a lot, over the years. I sort of started reading people like Michael Palin and Marion Nestle and all of those people who sort of, started talking about this stuff a while ago. And it all started to become very clear to me, looking around, that we were making this really big sort of paradigm shift in the U.S. from eating food to eating not necessarily just junk food, but this thing that I identified as foodiness. And it really started to drive me crazy. It would also make me crazy when, I would turn on the Today Show in the morning and a, sort of mainstream nutritionist would come on the Today Show and talk about what people should be eating. And she would say, you should eat, low-fat cheese and low-fat dairy, and you should eat oily fish 3 times a week, like salmon and tuna, without going into the details of things like, all that salmon is farmed, and that salmon is being fed soy, and then salmon shouldn't be eating soy, because they don't swim through fields in Iowa, and, you shouldn't be eating the low-fat dairy because you need that dairy fat because that's actually what's really good for your heart. And, it was sort of bringing out the rage in me, seeing people go out there and espouse all this wrong information, and so I felt like it was time to open up my big mouth and, get it out there, and so I did.